Why is Europe different to the United States? Is inflation less sticky in Europe?
Because Europe is not the United States. That's why it's different. First, but even if we discuss, we say measure price growth, inflation, the underlying reasons, causes of inflation are very different in Europe and in the US. In the US, it's mostly fiscal, and then energy and all other commodity effects. In Europe, is first of all energy, food, commodity price effects, and the inflation, and then demand factors. And that's the reason we have such a fall in headline inflation, while the domestic, the service inflation is somewhat higher. But well, Europe is Europe, so we don't follow with that. And let me joke, now the ECB will be the central bank to be followed.
The policy divergence, though, can bring ramifications on FX and could undermine inflation, the disinflationary process you're talking about here. So how cautious are you that if the Fed is slower to cut than anticipated, that it could have some knock-on consequences for ECB policy?
Obviously, the US is huge. It's the biggest economy, and it will have impact, whatever happens there, it has an impact not only on euro area but on the global economy. But it's not the first time in the history when we have these diverging paths of economic activity development in the US and in euro area. In fact, yes, we have this synchronized monetary policy over the last recent years, but in many years before we have the diverging views and monetary policy was implemented. But having said all this, I think exchange rates, it's important, but we're not targeting the exchange rate. One. Second thing is that exchange rate will balance the economic developments between these two jurisdictions and the economy. So I don't expect to have a big impact on the inflation in euro area, also because we have this sluggish economic activity so far. From the diverging monetary policy stance.
The balance you're talking about, are you saying that Europe could be more competitive if we see further depreciation in the euro?
That's one of the factors. But I think we have the developments in the US, we have the developments in the euro area, and exchange rate will balance the economic developments between the two.
I want to ask you what happens beyond June. You're very clear about the drivers for inflation here and the growth story. So we get beyond June, what is the rest of the playbook for the ECB on rates for this year?
That's a very good question. First of all, we'll stay data dependent. But the way I see the development of the interest rates, it's not only about one cut in June and then we are done. No, it's basically, if you consider the effect in less restrictive monetary policy environment, it's about overall cut in several, so to say, periods. So I believe that if we don't have any major surprise and the economy develops as long as it is the way it is projected, I believe several cuts are in the pipeline, and we'll see if we have fourth or not, maybe 2025.
So this year, just to be clear, how many rate cuts are you thinking about?
In my baseline, it's about 3.